Alright guys, what is going on? Match reaction. PSG 2, Spurs 2, and PSG winning 4-3 on penalties to win the Super Cup. First of all, congratulations to PSG on winning the Super Cup. It's another Champions League team to win the Super Cup, which I believe that is 8 seasons in a row where the Champions League club winning team has won the Super League. So that record lives on. But first, I want to talk about Spurs first. Obviously, new manager, Thomas Frank. I think Spurs played very well. I think Spurs played very well indeed. I think they were a little bit unlucky, if I'm being brutally honest. I was very impressed with Spurs in this game. I really was. I don't really think PSG were out of the races today, but that's no excuse. Spurs still put in a really good 90-minute performance. Yes, lapse of concentration in the last 10 minutes. But, I think Thomas Frank will take so many positives from that game. I really do. I thought the midfield and the defence, again, bar the last 10 minutes, was very, very good, very, very solid. And, I know many people who think Spurs are going to have a really positive season this year. And, if Spurs can put in performances like that, they are going to win a lot more games than they did last season, which I know isn't that difficult. But yeah, I was very impressed with them. I think off the ball, their energy, the closing down was intense, and they were getting in the heads of the PSG players. PSG didn't like it. They really did not like it. Them PSG players tonight, and yes, PSG got over the line on penalties, but they knew they were in a game tonight. PSG and Spurs. If you take away that last 10 minutes, they put in a brilliant performance. But the Spurs bottle job will never go away. Yes, they won the Europa League, one of the worst European finals in history. But new season, same Spurs, bottling it. It's unbelievable. But I think Spurs play well, and Thomas Frank will take so many positives from that game. A lot more positives than negatives, 100%. For me, it was just the energy and the intensity of the pressing. The desire to win the ball back off PSG. Yes, PSG dominated possession. I think they had like 74% possession, but we all knew that was going to happen. But they were just on PSG all the time. Making tackles, putting in blocks, clearances, and PSG was struggling to figure out what to do, if I'm being honest. And, I think Spurs played very, very well. And to be honest, I actually do think Spurs deserved to win. Unfortunately, they haven't. Penalties is always such a cruel way to lose a game of football. But yeah, I was very impressed by Spurs. Going on to PSG. Yes, they got over the line in the end, but it was very interesting. Luis Enrique, when I was doing the watch along, I was very confused. Desiree Doué in midfield. If that was an experiment by Enrique, which it had to have been, an experiment. It didn't work. It did not work at all. I mean, you got Desiree Doué, who many people think is one of the best youngsters in the world, one of the best players in the world, many people probably would say, and you're playing him in centre midfield in a free. Bizarre. And, it may work, probably will work against most League One teams, but, against, the likes of a Liverpool, a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Man City, it's not going to work, because if it didn't work against Spurs, it's definitely not going to work against one of them teams, because them teams are better than Spurs. They are, and Spurs fans will agree with me on that one, I'm sure. But yeah, that was a bizarre decision by Enrique to play Desiree Doué in a midfield three. Very, very bizarre choice, and it didn't work. So Enrique probably won't be doing that again. But I was disappointed in PSG tonight. If I'm being brutally honest, I was disappointed in them. Obviously they got battered by Chelsea in the Club World Cup final, 3-0. Got annihilated by Chelsea, and I think today they were saved from a terrible performance. Enrique will not be happy with that. He will not be happy with that performance at all. But again, they got the job done. And this is what the top teams do. They get the job done. Yes, it's on penalties, but who cares? They won the Super Cup. Enrique will be happy tonight, but I think deep down you'll know that he got away with one, I think, to be honest. And Spurs probably should have held on, but they just couldn't in the end. And that's what the top teams do. If you give them a sniff, you give them a chance, they will come back into the game, and that's exactly what PSG did. But let's talk about the goals. So it's Spurs who take a 1-0 lead in the 39th minute. Mickey van der Ven with the opener. Bit of a scrappy goal, to be honest. A little bit of a scrappy goal. I think a cross comes in. I think somebody volleys it onto the bar, and it just falls right into the path of Van der Ven into an empty net. Can't miss. And yeah, PSG, go behind. Spurs take a shock 1-0 lead at half time. And then, 4 minutes into the second half, it's 2-0 to Spurs. Cross comes in from a free kick by Pedro Porro to the back post. And it's a really good delivery by Porro. Romero meets it at the back post. Really good contact on the header by Romero. And the keeper, could the keeper do better? I don't know. I feel like if the keeper parries it, there's 3 Spurs players gambling on the keeper parrying it into the 6-yard box. He doesn't even parry it; he just lets it go in. To be honest, I think the keeper probably could save it, but I think even if he did save it, like he's not catching it; he's parrying it into the 6-yard box, and 3 Spurs players are there. So I think Spurs were always going to score that chance, but it was Romero who got the goal with the initial header. And you're thinking, I thought Spurs were going to hold on. Spurs, PSG lacking in creativity, not really creating any chances at all. And then it was just a moment of brilliance, moment of genius by Kang in the 85th minute. Vitinha, extra little ball to Kang, and he just fires it into the bottom right-hand corner. Kang, no chance for Vicario. Such a sweet connection on the strike by Kang, and PSG just like that, straight back in it. Out of nothing, really. It's just a strike from the edge of the box, but what a strike it is. And then you're just thinking, can Spurs hold on? I was saying in the watch along, PSG are going to get one more chance. You knew it was going to happen. They were going to get one more chance. It was just whether or not they could take it, and they did take it. Gonçalo Ramos in the 94th minute with the equaliser. They're just passing it around on the edge of the Spurs' box. Dembele makes a lovely little run. Porro plays him onside clearly. And what a cross into the box by Dembele. He's just fizzed it into the box. And, all Ramos has got to do is connect with the header, which he does. Puts it into basically what is an empty net. Vicario can't get across. And it's 2-2. And then, we're going to penalties. And, penalties, 50-50. PSG win it on penalties. But, I think if you're a Spurs fan tonight and you've watched that game, you'll be impressed. And, you'll be looking forward to the season starting. Because if Spurs play like that every single game, they will have a successful season. Yes, there's going to be games where they dominate possession, dominate chances, play against a team who plays a low block. That could be a challenge. But, they've shown against a top team that they can nearly do it. It was 2-2. Take away penalties, it was 2-2. But yeah, I think the Spurs fans will be very pleased with that performance. Because I was impressed by Spurs tonight. I really was. But guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts on the match. And once again, just congratulate PSG for winning the Super Cup. Commiserations to Spurs. But guys, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll catch you later.